Well, the length of this video will be much shorter than the last, simply because the weather station is just fine, and the wind sensor, or the wind speed sensor here, is extremely similar in design as the wind direction sensor I already created. As you can see, the encoding disk here, same size, same design, except the pattern I had to put into it was much simpler. It's simply 32 black lines evenly spaced around the disc. Now I put some scratches around the disc to help me put the pattern on somewhat evenly. I didn't want to end up at the end of the disc and have a mess. They're all hand painted and there's nowhere near perfection, but what it's going to be looking for is the speed of the on and off the transmitter and receiver. So as long as I have a quantity of 32 black lines and they're as evenly spaced as I can, this should work just fine. The rest of the build, like I said, is the same. I have only one light transmitter and the receiver is on the other circuit board. Everything is the same. It's been cut to fit. See, this is much simpler than the last, and it's going to be so much simpler to align them before I put them in the case, because I don't have to align 4 to perfection, just 1, and that's going to be a whole lot easier to do. Now you're going to see here that I'm going to struggle to show you and show me that the transmitter and receiver is working properly through the disc. I need a third hand on this, but I don't have one, simply because I cannot put this in the vise, because the cones can't spin, because the vise head's always in the way, no matter what direction I put it in. So I'm struggling here to just show that on the output on the weather station that things are working. Now there we go. We got some figures. Now I've got the upper and lower boards glued together with the same materials I did with the other sensor, with cable wall mounts, and as you can see, it's working pretty darn good. I'm pretty pleased. With only one sensor, it was a whole lot easier, that's for sure. So next thing is to put it in the case and figure out how to mount it to the same pole as the other one. Okay, ready to assemble. I took the wires out, put a tension knot in the end of the cable so it can't be pulled on. On the base, I have a rubber grommet that it goes through to keep the water out. One last try. Everything seems to be working well. Awesome. So now we just got to put it into the base and screw it tight. And then we're going to mount it just like the other one was, to the square stock, the other end of the bar, and with the polyacrylic mount under it. And the wires will come out one side, and we'll put it on a pole. And that's what. And here it is in final positions on a 3/4 inch steel pipe. Mounted the sensors, like I said, exactly the way I did the wind direction sensor. It's about 13, maybe 14 feet off the ground, just enough to clear the garage and the shed roof. Since it's mounted between them, I wanted to make sure it had a nice clear path for wind to get an accurate measurement. As you can see, we got some wind and it's working well. It came out a lot better than I expected. Don't freak about the wires coming out the end of the square stock. I do have a bunch of rubber over there to protect the wires. This is kind of a temporary setup. I'm testing it for several days, maybe a couple of weeks, before I permanently mount the wires in its proper position. And here we go. The final assembled unit with all sensors working. You can see the wind speed, you can see the wind direction. Notice how fast the numbers are changing. If you have a Wi-Fi weather station like I do, a modern one, you'll notice that the numbers don't change like this. And it's because the sensor, to save battery power usually, only transmits data about once every 30 seconds, or the batteries would run out much faster than they do now. But since these are hardwired in, this doesn't have that problem. That's why you can see just constant changes in wind speed and wind direction. And actually, you know, if you think about it, that's much more accurate than the modern Wi-Fi unit. You get instant data with this since everything's hooked up physically. I am very pleased with this. I never thought I was going to get this far. I never thought I was going to have all sensors done. It took a long time. I'm very sorry about how long it's taken for the second video. For one thing, I'm sorry that after all this time, you get this dinky little video. I had no idea that it was going to be this small. But I didn't record a lot since the second sensor, 80 to 85% of it was identical in creation of the wind direction sensor, except for the disc and the sensor in the transmitter and receiver inside, and that was it. Everything else was the same. So this is awesome. If you saw, I pressed wind gust. It said 18 right there. I don't know how it did that, since I've never seen 18. Apparently it did it when my camera wasn't around. But hey, we got storms coming in a couple of days, and maybe I'll see some interesting figures in here. I hope it doesn't take the sensors off the pole. So, I hope you liked the video. Sorry it's late. I'm sorry it's short. I hope you learned something. And as always, thanks for watching.